The brutal
In
collapse of
2020,
Akon's what? Scam City. There you go.
rapper Akon made an announcement
Oh, you
that he
just
was
came from
building
there?
his own $6 billion
Type shit.
future city in Africa that looks like the hybrid of Dubai and the fictional city of Wakanda. Akon City is where innovation meets luxury, with 5 distinct districts designed to redefine urban living. See the African Village District, where modern waterfront homes beckon, and a sprawling, all-inclusive
Why he trying
resort
to?
awaits
This
your
nigga is crazy
indulgence.
for doing this.
Experience exhilaration in the Entertainment District, boasting a cutting-edge multi-purpose stadium and a
Hey, what the
colossal
fuck kind
casino
of
for endless
your hair looks
excitement.
good today?
Witness the future unfolding
Thanks,
in
bro.
the Tech District, poised to become the Silicon Valley of Africa.
I don't care if I
where
can't come back, I'm
groundbreaking
going there.
technologies
Bruh, it
shape
don't
tomorrow's
exist.
world. And of course, the essential health and safety district, because public services such as police stations, fire departments, and a general hospital are key to residents' quality of
This
life.
shit look like some
The
underwater
education
shit
district
though.
will provide comprehensive learning opportunities for both children and adults, ensuring growth and development for all. And lastly, the glamorous Sennewood District, which features 4 state-of-the-art filming studios, offices, and residential spaces, all culminating
How the
with
fuck
the
did he think
iconic
he was gonna
Akon
build all
Tower
this?
piercing the skyline to glorify the genius who created this futuristic urban oasis. For the past 4 years, Akon and his team have been preparing this city to be ready for you to experience by 2024. And just 4 years later, this is what Akon City looks like today.
Hell no.
Lies.
I know, but if
corruption,
it ever
collusion,
does, you
a
can't say
shady
it wouldn't be fired.
cryptocurrency,
Oh yeah, I'll
stealing
visit.
native land. These are just a few of
What
the
do you say?
villainous acts Akon has been accused of. Lies, corruption, collusion, a shady
Imagine how it was how it feel to clap inside the big building. For what?
cryptocurrency, stealing native land. These are just a few of the villainous acts Akon has been accused of during this disastrous project. At first, many of his supporters saw him as a noble man making valiant efforts to create a real-life
That nigga
utopia,
hair fake as
but
fuck.
now they question why the guy who believes that all men are divine kings to be worshipped by women wants to create and lead his own city.
I
But
take
before
the
we get
German
into
girl
the
out on
fall
a
of
date
Akon
there.
City, it is important to understand the
You don't
actual
have money to
amazing
be flying
achievements
people.
Akon
So what
has
are you
made
talking
for
about?
over a dozen African nations. After Akon made millions of dollars in the music industry, he wanted to extend resources to Senegal.
Nigga, that
which is where
fucking
he was
Velcro
from.
ass
Growing
waves.
up,
I've never
Akon
seen
knew
that
the
before.
struggles of living in the dark once the sun went down. The town in Senegal that he grew up in, like many others, had no access to running water or power. Local economies
I got
were
this new
forced to
spray
shut down
on
businesses
God
when
though.
the sun set, and families were
I got
constrained
more.
to
I got
candlelight
money,
or kerosene
nigga. Fuck you
lamps to
talking about?
complete their nightly tasks.
That nigga hair definitely
resulting
spray
in over
on.
3 million
Nigga, that
deaths
shit
each
glued
year
on.
from harmful fumes and
Why does he look like an
fires.
average
In
Nigerian
2014,
scam caller?
Akon Lighting Africa was launched.
I mean, he
In the
do.
first year of Akon's Lighting Africa project, he brought solar energy to 14 different African nations.
Damn,
And
nigga.
although his intentions were noble, he had to implement borderline unethical strategies to convince nations to invest in solar. But before we get into that, a quick word from today's sponsor, Cookie.
Shout out Patsy C and the sponsor. Ew, that lasagna look dirty as shit, boy. If y'all fuck with Cooking Boom. Or like a nigga named Makumbo. Or like Tommy Native Tongue. Native Tongue in his name probably some bullshit. Wow. It looked mad dry. It looked fucking gross. That's what every dark-skinned dad want to be one day.
Patrick CC50 to get 50% off your first
Shit
order
crazy,
of
dude.
Cook Unity meals to try them out yourself. One problem with Africans, he said, is that they often lack unity and are hesitant to think about the future. So he strategically approached nations who had upcoming elections, then installed solar systems for free in the village of the leader's choice, such as installing streetlights and solar panels for homes and businesses. Then it made those leaders look like they were invested in progressing their nation, which led to them receiving more votes from citizens. It came to the point that once that village was lit up, now the neighboring villages would bring pressure to the government and ask those same questions. How come we ain't lit up? Although many are critical of this tactic, at the end of the day, the communities are the ones who benefit the most.
Would you live in them big African houses? I wouldn't live in Africa because I feel like they got some big ass spiders and snakes and shit. And I'm not trying to deal with that.
Installation of streetlights led to decreased crime rates due to the visibility the solar-powered street lighting provides. By 2020, Akon Lighting Africa has installed 100,000 solar-powered street lamps, 1,200 solar microgrids, and has created more than 5,000 jobs.
Damn.
Many people question how Akon was able to finance a project of this size. Sure, his music was successful, but we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in infrastructure costs.
Facts.
Well, he was able to land a line of credit for up to $1 billion worth of solar equipment with the finance arm of China Jiangsu International
What the fuck? This nigga was working
which
with
is
China?
a Chinese government-owned construction firm. Most of these African nations could not afford the upfront money for
Yeah, that's
installing
a slum,
solar
boy.
infrastructure, but Akon's line of credit allowed the governments to pay in installments.
But when Bush was in power, Bush created a 200% tax on all solar or all solar-related and renewable energy coming into America. So all that investment, those billions of dollars of investment that China put into this was just sitting in factories and sitting in China, couldn't be used. So I took advantage of that and went down to China and to partner with some of those companies that couldn't use all that, investment that they already put for Europe and America.
Because of Akon's efforts, an estimated 28.8 million people can now enjoy the same benefits of electricity that much of the world has enjoyed for decades.
You've always said that China has done more for Africa than any other country.
I mean, it's true. That's not something anybody can argue with.
Yeah.
I mean,
This nigga is wearing a short sleeve hoodie. Oh my god, bro, you a millionaire. What the fuck is this swag?
That's why if you see Africa now hasn't been developed. This was the responsibility of France, Great Britain, Italy, Germany. These guys have been in Africa forever, and it's never been developed. China just started putting interest in Africa. Now you have roads, roundabouts, like they're actually putting structure down.
Now, China has been investing in Africa since the early 2000s, but their interest has dramatically increased in the past 10 years, having loaned $170 billion to 40 different nations. And while
last time I seen a short sleeve hoodie was in 2017. That's probably around the same time that I seen that shit too.
That they have a secret evil motive.
Nigga dresses like the average gym bro from Africa. That shit
Chinese
dirty, bro.
investments
That's
need to be paid
fucking
back.
short sleeve
The problem
hoodies.
is that
Ew.
Africa's total debt from 2000 to 2022 is around $1.8 trillion.
Damn.
Which is 300% higher than Africa's GDP growth rate in the same amount of time. Basically, they're in a lot of debt and don't have a stable way to pay back the money. But that might be exactly what the Chinese government wants. Debt trap diplomacy, or the Chinese debt trap, is essentially their strategy of building expensive infrastructure and assets that these African nations cannot afford, secretly
Like, just get a
hoping that they
beanie
will
for real?
stop
Wrong
making
topic, hold
payments
on.
and then China will take control of their land or assets that they just built. Now, why would China want to control a bunch of land, resources, and assets in the middle of Africa? Your guess is as good as mine. But these theories were spawned after an investigation into these loan documents.
In one report which analysed 100 Chinese contracts, it revealed that the loans are structured to give an advantage over other creditors and allows action to be taken if the borrower acts contrary to the interests of a People's Republic of China entity. There are also unusual clauses that shroud agreements in secrecy.
These niggas trying to run up a bag on these niggas, boy.
As acting contrary to the interest of a Chinese entity? Well, that's really vague, likely on purpose. Who knows what would legally count as acting contrary? And as far as these unusual confidential clauses, well, that alone is enough for some people to believe that China is trying to be vague and non-transparent on purpose. But others believe that this is just extremely standard contract practices that the World Bank and any other small bank in existence provides, and that the Chinese debt trap as a whole is just more Western propaganda to 1. Demonize Africa more, and 2. Make Americans hate the Chinese government. Think about it this way: when you're buying a house,
it's
does
always
the
been like that,
government,
though.
the media, or the banks call it a debt trap? No, they call it a smart and often necessary investment into your future. But if you can't make your payments on your house, they take it away, and now they own it. So wouldn't that make buying a house an American debt trap? It just comes down to whether you think China is doing extremely standard business, or do they want these nations to fall short on payments to take over their assets and gain power in Africa. Regardless, Akon's relationship with these Chinese financiers and previous successful play in Africa allowed him to pitch his newest venture,
Nigga look like my
Akon
microphone.
City. He claims that he was able to get his $1 billion credit line raised to
turn the
$5
ads
billion
off.
with these Chinese investment groups. Following the announcement of the city, Akon went on a publicity tour promoting the new project.
The president of Senegal gave you 3 square miles of land.
I can turn them down.
That's the thing. I had to actually buy
Next
the land,
stream.
so it wasn't gifted to me. But what the president and the government are doing, they're actually laying the foundation for all the infrastructure on the land. The basic sewage, electricity, things like that. All the things that have to be set forth for me to build the city on top of.
Okay.
And they give me 100% full, no support.
The city will be built on a 3 square mile plot just 60 miles from Dakar, the capital and largest city in Senegal. Now 3 square miles is not a ton of land, that's 2,000 acres or a little more than double the size of Central Park in New York City. However, Akon says this version of the city is just phase 1 of a multi-phase plan. He also announced during this time that Akon City would operate fully on their own cryptocurrency called Akon.
Oh,
Akon
brother.
is a stellar-based cryptocurrency designed to fuel rising entrepreneurs in Africa and beyond. Akon will be used as a common medium of transfer between Africa's 54 countries, each with its own volatile currency, allowing African citizens and entrepreneurs to engage with the digital economy with only a mobile phone.
That shit
People
is
don't
a
always have
scam.
access to,
You really
bank
making
accounts and so on,
movements?
but everybody has a phone.
Everybody has a phone.
So with the phone, you can make payments,
Absolutely.
and that's how it all kind of fits in
That's
to the
where
thing.
it makes all the sense in the world.
Okay.
Akon is not a groundbreaking technology. Many Africans
At all.
have adopted crypto for everyday use as it is generally more stable and flexible than their country's native currency. But even
What?
before crypto was adopted, over 50 million Africans use M-Pesa or mobile minutes, which is kind of like the Cash App or Venmo of Africa.
Oh,
Millions
shit.
of Africans can transfer money to family members in different countries or pay for goods and services with ease using M-Pesa. It would be significantly easier for Akon City residents if the country was built around a more commonly used cryptocurrency or just sticking with M-Pesa. So why Akon?
How much Akon do you actually own?
I mean, I am the bank.
That's
Akon
why
said
he.
it
That's why he
himself.
trying to run it
He
up.
is the bank. Not only is he building a city named after him, but also creating the currency that he controls and owns the most
Yeah,
of.
that nigga finna
Before
trying to
launching
become
his
fucking
Akon cryptocurrency, the
Iron
Akon
Man after
website
this all.
announced a pre-sale opportunity called the Token of Appreciation or TOA campaign. This pre-sale was treated like a donation, and donors were promised 4 tokens for every $1 spent. Akon was launched on most major crypto exchanges in early 2021 and peaked at around 58 cents, which at the time was around a 132% gain for the TOA holders if they sold. However, the majority believed in Akon, so they held. Within a few months, the price began spiraling down
Sold
to
that bitch,
roughly
bruh.
10 cents per coin, taking TOA holders from a 132% gain to a 60% loss.
Fuck.
Due to the shocking dip, Akon admins offered a refund to their initial donors. One donor named Marcus said, "The refund was meant to come a few weeks later. We are now over a year, and we're back at the same situation we were years ago with the lack of communication, and now everybody's up in arms."
They doing the Logan
Marcus
Paul
isn't
method, boy.
alone. The owner of the Go Black to Africa YouTube channel showed proof of him emailing Akon admins only to be ignored for years. The YouTuber wrote to Andrew of the Akon Foundation requesting a refund on December 19th, 2021. Andrew replied 22 days later and said that the YouTuber was added to the list for refund requests and we will be reaching out shortly regarding further details on how to
Damn these
proceed. The
niggas,
YouTuber
bro.
provided his physical mailing address, which Andrew claimed was the next step towards a refund, only for him to be ignored for 4 months with no refund, and now it has been 3 years and still no refund.
Damn.
When Akon was asked about these refunds, he said he had no idea there was any problems.
Now that I was aware, because I know all the people that I know that was on record. We definitely met with everybody, and this was the agreement that was actually agreed on. So if there was anyone outside of that, I definitely wasn't aware.
And those people who asked for their money back and were expecting it a year ago, when will they receive their money?
Well, that I'm just literally on everything finding out. So I'm gonna definitely get more involved and figure out what that's about.
This nigga
but
capping,
we have
boy.
Instruments in place to make sure those people are happy, even if I gotta go in my own pocket.
But as far as we know, Akon has not come out of pocket to pay these people back. The coin eventually fell to $0.0029.
Nigga, you can't
which
buy
is
anything with
essentially
that.
a 100% loss. At the moment, Akon is not listed on any cryptocurrency exchange, so nobody can buy it, sell it, or use it anywhere. It is worth nothing.
Akon had appeared that he was doing a good job, but it seems though that he is just like most who would want to use Africa only for his own benefit.
As if it couldn't get any worse, Akon City today is an utter ghost town. Last year, this picture went viral of one singular Minecraft concrete brick laid in the center of
Nigga
Akon
called this
City,
shit a Minecraft
showcasing
brick.
an extreme lack of progress being made considering the fact that Akon said the city would be done by 2024. However, there is
Crazy.
a little more than just this one stone. Today in 2024, you can see the first completed building, an extremely standard and non-futuristic building that they say is a recreational center. There's also another small, barely modularly constructed building with a spiral staircase, which, to be fair, does look like a small version of what the original vision depicted. However, 99% of the land remains vacant with wild cattle grazing. Yes, technically construction has begun, but as you can see, this is a far cry from the futuristic megacity we were
Nigga, it ain't supposed to be
promised.
done this
Akon
year,
blamed
and they
the
got 2
pandemic,
buildings?
saying
Fuck
everything
no.
would be pushed back by 2 years, which doesn't really make sense considering he announced Akon City to the international media when the pandemic was at its worst moments. The unfortunate part about the land that's just sitting unused is that the land belonged to several hundred people who are still owed compensation from the Senegalese government. The first phase of
We done in
Akon City was supposed to
3024?
be built on 55
That
hectares
shit
of
not getting
land
done
secured by
ever.
Sapco in 2009, eventually expanding onto a further 500 hectares by the end of the decade.
Fuck is a hectare?
Macky Sall, the president of Senegal, said, "My problem concerning the land is not with Akon. My problem is concerning Sapco, because it is them who took the land from the villagers." Originally, the Senegalese government's tourist board, Sapco, was backing the project, saying, "We believe in Akon City and we are all supporting Akon so the Akon City will come to life. It will attract tourists and investors in the region, and Sapco is fully committed to the success of this project." But most recently, they have sent Akon a formal notice that if the project has not advanced by next year, its contract with him will be terminated.
Damn.
And since Akon has massively overpromised and massively underdelivered, people are starting to question his intentions in the
This
first
shit a
place.
Fire Festival
"I plan
Part
to
4.
retire in that city," he says confidently. "I don't like to use the word king of the city, but that's what it will turn out to be." Words like this have made some people believe that Akon City is just an empire to inflate his ego at best and a corrupt billion-dollar scam at worst. Additionally, Akon's views of the Western world's morals and gender roles has made people disagree with him as a leader.
But what happens in today's society, the woman chooses which role she want to play. In the last 10, 15 years, I haven't met a woman that can actually cook. I haven't met a woman that actually wants to clean the house. I've met the baddest bitches on the globe and asked to go to the bathroom, and the bathroom looked like shit. Hair all over the place, all kind of products. Like, come on now. That's a natural instinct.
Nigga, his hair is fake as
Maybe
fuck.
this could just
Oh
be
my
a
god,
joke,
that side
but
angle crazy.
Akon does follow a very non-Western style of raising his 9 children with 7 different women.
Time you're at every single recital.
No, that's a white man's thing. Who gives a fuck about a recital? The reason why people like me can't spend every single day and minute with their children is because the mother's job is to be there with the children. I'm the man. My job is to provide comfort so the mother can provide and raise those children to be like me. Now, if it's a man, when a child gets to a certain age, that's my responsibility now to show him what a man's role and responsibility is. But you can't expect a man to conquer the world if he's home with children. In life, there's roles.
Yeah, no.
A man has his role.
Yes.
And a woman has her role. Yes. But the day the woman believes that the man is supposed to share her role with her, then that means she's lacking. So I don't go pull my wife out to the construction site to go pull nails in 2x4s because that's not her place. A guy ain't got time to be in the house all day with no kids.
Now, this could be chalked up to just a traditional style of raising a family.
I mean, it
but
sounds like
sometimes
that.
he justifies his beliefs with extreme levels of bro science.
So, as a woman, her role is to support the man. The man, we are the kings and the divine of this universe. A woman can never compare to the man. They have to understand that here in America. The woman don't create life. They support the creation of life. A man right now can create life without a woman, but a woman can't create life without a man.
What?
If I wanted to create life right now without a woman, I would just shoot my sperm, put it in the incubator, and just give it 9 months, even maybe less with today's science, and a baby will be born. A woman can't do that.
Hopefully in Akon City, he is not in charge of the education
What are you talking
curriculum
about?
because his science is considerably off here. Akon is likely referring to vitro gametogenesis, which is essentially creating an egg and a sperm outside of the human body to create a life. And the answer is no, we cannot do this right now. We can fertilize a female egg and a male sperm in a lab environment, but in order to give birth, the fertilized embryo must be transferred back to the woman's uterus. At the absolute worst, Akon could be a
Nigga don't know
scammer
his
with a God
shit.
complex, who is willing to take Chinese money to build infrastructure that African nations cannot afford, only to line his own pockets while these nations crumble and get taken over by the Chinese government. Or at best, he is truly trying to build a futuristic utopia for Africans, and
yeah, no, he don't know what
unfortunately,
he the
the
fuck
massive
he talking about.
political and economic responsibilities.
That's what's been.
were
I'm looking
far
at like,
more than
okay,
he
you
could
lost me, bro.
handle. And as of right now,
The whole roles
Akon
thing,
City
okay,
won't
traditional
exist for a
households.
very long time.
That
But to be honest, it probably never will.
facts.